This video demonstrates how you can work with candidate records within the system. So when you are sent an RFV, you will receive an email notification, as you always have in the past, with the full PDF attached to that email. That will continue on, but you will also start to receive internally within the system what we call systems notifications. And these will appear using this little badge in the top right hand menu bar here. And if you click on them, new notifications will appear automatically within this list, and you can actually right click on these notifications and be taken straight through to the candidate record that it's related to. Obviously you can also then go into the candidates area and search and find the particular candidate that you're working on. So in this example, we're just going to open up one that was sent to us from a test coach, and this is typically the kind of form that and the way in which you will receive the candidate record. So obviously up the top here you're going to have all the candidates' contact details. Scrolling down, there are some blank sort of CRM type fields that allow you to track things such as the probability of closing the candidate, how much it's worth to you in terms of fees, etc., what particular site of interest they are interested in, so the areas initially, and it might just be state-based, and then as they work their way through the recruitment process and become focused on one particular unit or a particular location, then you can update that to maintain what particular site they're interested in. Here you can actually assign the candidate to a particular person if you've got other users of the system, and you can also track expected close dates and just keep a next step, that type of thing. Your recruitment stages, which you can set yourself within the admin area of the system. There is a separate video on that. This is the stages that basically you will take the candidate through on their journey towards them signing a franchise agreement. So from the very first moment you are provided the RFV via the entrepreneur source, these are the steps you will do, and you quite simply just click on the arrows to mark the stage as complete, or you can actually use the date selector and choose the particular date that the candidate completed that particular stage. Ideally, they'll work their way through this process until they reach an outcome, and the outcome will typically be, hopefully, they'll be appointed a franchise. But however, being realistic, they may in fact decline at some stage of the recruitment process that they don't want to proceed, or you may determine that the candidate is not in fact right for you and decline to proceed with them. And when you make these final sort of outcomes here, it's always wise to put in just a note to record the date upon which the candidate was either appointed or declined to proceed. A bit further down on this form here, there's the ability to archive candidates. So either once you've appointed or once you've decided not to go ahead, if you're finished with the record, you can just toggle this archived tag to yes, and that will remove them from your search candidates bucket and put them into the candidates archive. And the benefit of doing that is that it just keeps your candidates bucket very small and tight and easy and manageable to work with. A bit further down, you've got your notes. So these are any time-stamped notes. So this is where you would record telephone conversations or interview notes, that type of thing. That's very simple. Just click on add note button. You'll get a modeless pop out, which these windows you can drag and drop and move around. And you can record a note here, if it was regarding a telephone conversation or something like that. And it's very fast and simple, just to hit save, and that will record and store the note permanently on the record. Okay, next, if we keep scrolling down, you can add individual tasks. So tasks are important because they remind you of things that you need to do or that you want to be reminded to do. So out of the box, the system will send you an email on a Sunday night telling you of any tasks that are falling due in the coming weeks. And getting near the bottom of the form now, there's the ability to upload documents within the system. So if you have, for example, scanned application forms or financials or resumes or other data that you want to store regarding this candidate, you can upload and store those records there. And then lastly, there's a checklist. So the checklist is set up by yourself in the admin area, and this is really just allowing you to keep a track of everything within the system that you want to record and make sure is done and completed before this candidate signs a franchise agreement. Okay, so that's the details on the main details on the candidate form. Two extra sort of CRME fields which are very powerful when used correctly is the follow-up date and the follow-up note. So typically when you work a record or when you do one of those major stages such as an interview, you will set a follow-up date for the future. It may be 1 week in advance or 2 weeks in advance or 2 days in advance, and just a short note to yourself to say what is basically the next step, or what is the follow-up that is required as a next step. And these follow-up dates and follow-up notes are what's displayed in the grid view here. The follow-up date you can see, so it's quite easy to pull up this list view. If you click on the column header, you can sort it descending or ascending and work your way through the candidates that require your attention now. The last thing to point out is just to show you how to access the actual RFV details. So obviously this is this button up the top here called View RFV. And if you click on that, that will actually just show you the PDF version, which you can now print or download in regards to this particular candidate's request for validation. Okay, so that's the main areas of the candidate record. Once it's finished and you've updated or you've undertaken any changes, it's always wise just to hit save before you can close off the record and carry on with your next candidate.